everyone, welcome back to Bethany's Vintage Fairy Tale. I'm so happy you guys could be here with me today. We're going to be doing a DIY video with all different techniques, everything from thrifted pieces that I found at our local Value Village that I've upcycled and treated with a vintage feel, and then also some dyeing techniques with coffee and tea to give some old books and some paper some new life. So I can't wait to show you guys how everything turned out, and make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video because I'll be showing you guys how to actually use these decor pieces in your everyday decor. So can't wait to show you guys how it all turned out. Please like and subscribe to this channel for weekly inspirational videos, everything to do with heart, family, and home. I would love to have you guys here, a part of the Fairy Tale family. Thank you so much for watching, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright, so this is our very first DIY. We're going to be making some vintage letters, and I got the inspiration off of an old show called Road to Avonlea, and they had these beautiful stacks of old letters, and I thought it would be so cool to try to recreate that look. So what I'm doing here is I'm going in with some regular printer paper, placing it in a cookie sheet, and then I'm using warm water and tea bags to kind of give this old distressed look. And the key is here, you just kind of want to play with your tea and move it around, and then even let some of the little tea particles come out, because that brings a lot of texture to the look, and that also helps to make it look a little bit older as well. And then kind of play with the textures as well. Some of the letters you'll see later on are a little bit lighter, some of them are darker with more texture, less texture. It kind of helps to make them look a little bit more authentic and make them look a little bit different. And then here you can see these are some stamps that I printed off of Pinterest, and I'm dyeing these as well. That way they kind of tone in better with the look of the letters, because they were a little bit too bright when I had them fresh printed. So I'm just letting them sit. You'll want to let your paper sit usually about overnight just to make sure they're fully dry before you go ahead and try to do anything with them. And obviously the longer you let them sit in the water solution, the better they're gonna look. So on average, I think I left mine in for maybe 6 or 7 hours just to make sure that they were really nice and dark. And then some of them I left a little bit with less time so that they'd be a little bit lighter for that variation. But of course, it's a total personal preference. And then here's how the papers turned out once they're all dry. And you can kind of see a better example here of the texture that some of them have, and that's because more of the tea particles came and sat on the paper, so it made it more textured, which is kind of cool and more like how a real letter would actually be in real life. And then now here what we're going to do is we're going to start actually creating our letters. So these are templates that I got off of Google Images actually, and I just literally typed in vintage old letters, or I typed in scalloped letters, and then printed off a couple different designs that I liked, and then just went ahead and cut them out and folded them just so I could get a look at how everything would coordinate together. And of course these are all personal preference. You can choose whatever shape or design that you love. And now we're going to go in and make the actual letters. So I'm just taking the templates and tracing it out with a pencil and then cutting them out. This is a great craft to do with kids as well. Super fun and easy. And you can use these for so many different occasions. You could use them for actual party invitations. You could use them in scrapbooks. You could use them how I'm doing with just general decor. There's so many different uses for these, and they're so much fun to make because you can really personalize them to whatever aesthetic that you're going for. So this is how all of the letters turned out. They're so cute. I'm so glad that they kind of have a good variation of color and texture and design. They're very romantic looking, exactly what I was going for. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think down below, but they were so much fun to make and super easy. And here's all the stamps as well. And then here we're going to start actually decorating our letters. So again, if you wanted to just have single letters, what I would recommend is putting a stamp on each one and then any embellishments that you would like. Or in this case, I'm going to make an old stack of letters. So I'm just taking some ribbon and wrapping it around to kind of make it look like an old bundle, and then adding a stamp just to the top. I didn't feel it necessary to add stamps to all of them since you wouldn't really see the stamps, but of course you could, total personal preference here. And then yeah, I usually started at the bottom with the bigger ones and then the smaller ones on top, and I've tried to layer them so that they weren't all even, just to make it look a little bit more rustic and a little bit more authentic as well. And then you can also choose any kind of ribbons or lace that you want. I've collected mine over the years from all different places, but any kind of colors or designs that you guys love, go ahead and use that. Or if you're doing a specific party and you wanted to add a certain embellishment to go with your theme, feel free to do that as well. You'll kind of see here that I kind of tie a few ribbons together. You could tie some old jewelry on here for like a cute little keepsake, or any kind of embellishments would be really pretty depending on what you're going for. And then the end of the lace here, I'm just going ahead and dovetailing my ends. So how you do that is you just pinch the end of your ribbon together and then cut it as an upwards direction, and it makes that cute little cut in the bottom. So it's a nice way to kind of make your ribbons look a little bit nicer. Or you can also cut them just at a slant as well. That would be pretty too. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think of these different letters. I hope you guys love them. They were so much fun to make, and I'm hosting a garden party here in a couple of weeks, so I'm planning on making a couple of personalized letters. Such a fun and cute DIY. And if you guys have like pen pals or anything, these would be so much fun to send someone, or family abroad. What a cute idea to kind of send someone like an old vintage letter. So this is how it all turned out. And then you can see the top letters are where I put the stamps. But again, if you wanted to put stamps on all of them, feel free to do that, whatever you guys prefer. I just figured because they were all in a stack that I would just put it on the top. But of course you can add them to every single letter if you wanted to. And yeah, you just use a sort of ribbons and trims. And then of course you can add more embellishments as well. So now we're going to move into our next DIY. So kind of similar to the first, we're going to be using a dyeing technique, but we're going to be using coffee this time. And what I did was I picked up a bunch of old books from a thrift store, and then I'm just removing the covers to the books that we can get to like the spine and then like the inner pages, because we're going to be dyeing those, and the outer material won't dye very well. So just take off all of your covers or any papers that you guys don't want to use. And then feel free to make as many books as you want. You can use these in stacks, kind of like the letters, or you can use them individually as well. And here I've just got a large Tupperware container with some warm water, and I'm just going to pour the coffee directly into the water solution here, and give it a good stir just to make sure it's all mixed together. And then go ahead and just insert your books into the water and kind of move them around a little bit so that the coffee solution can kind of absorb to all of the pages. That way you don't just get the outside of the book, you kind of submerge the entire book and give them a good stir. Again, similar to the letters, you want to let these sit in the water for as long as possible. The more you let them sit in there, the darker and the more aged effect you'll get. So it's total personal preference for this as well. And here you can kind of see how they've been sitting here. This is about the hour or two mark at this point, so you can tell they're getting a little bit of color, but they do need to sit a little bit longer. And you don't also want to fill it too full as well, because then you won't get the full effect of the coffee. So try not to fill your buckets too full. I did that the first time and then realized I had to take some out and put it into another bucket. So yeah, these are almost done at this point. They'll kind of darken as well when you take them out because they still have a bit of coffee in them, so don't worry about that. They'll end up turning up a little bit darker here. right, so this is after I took the books out and they're drying. Don't worry about the little bits of coffee grounds that are stuck to the books. When it dries, they'll literally just scrape right off. So what I did is I took these outside and let them sit overnight. And then what I would recommend is the next day taking a hairdryer and physically drying them out, because I noticed that some of mine were too moist, so a couple of them did go moldy. So make sure, learn from my mistake, take a hairdryer and really blow them out so that they dry quicker, and then they'll last a lot longer as well. And here we're going to start making our book stack. So I'm just taking, again, some assorted ribbons that I like, laces, and I'm just tying them together to make a cute little bundle. If you don't want to do this, you could also use these books individually as like a prop underneath a vase, or you could put them directly into your bookshelf. You can use them however you like. And then here you can see I just tied a cute little bow, and I'm just adding some lace. And then I've got this cute little ring. This was actually from a website called Shein. They have a lot of like super inexpensive accessories and home stuff. They've got everything there. So I picked up a couple of those just to use as embellishments for my books. Now we're going to move into our next DIY. So I picked up this cute little cement piece from our local Home Sense here, and you'll see in a second, there's the top of it where you can put in some florals. So I used a selection of Michael's roses that I have, and a hot glue gun, and then some styrofoam. I directly hot glued right into the top of the vase here, and then put the styrofoam right on top. That just helps it to be a little bit more secure so that your florals stay in a little bit better. And then go ahead and start arranging your flowers at the top. If you'd like to use a different selection of florals, you could also do different variations, like some smaller, some larger if you wanted. If you're doing that, I would recommend putting your biggest florals in first and then your smaller accompanying ones after. But here I'm just placing the same size of rose all the way around, just to make it look a little bit more uniform. And now I'm going to add in some Spanish moss just to fill in some of the holes, and especially around the bottom where the flowers meet the vase, just to make sure you can't see any of that styrofoam. And I kind of thought after I did this that it looks a little bit like hair, so I thought it was kind of cute to add that in as well. And of course you could use as little as this, or you could use more depending on what kind of look you're going for. You could skip this step and just add more florals, whatever you guys prefer. And now we're going to go into our next DIY. So this is a cute little chair that I picked up at our local Value Village here in Canada. And what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and paint over this. I wanted to just cover up the bright colors that it had. We're going to be ending up putting some scrapbook paper on top. So I just wanted to paint a neutral color first to cover up any of those, the pictures or the colors. And I went with a brown because I figured white, I would have to do too many coats and you'd probably still see through it. So I recommend doing like a beige or a brown. It kind of helps if you have some bright colors that you're trying to cover up when you're painting. So now that we've got a coat of paint on here, you'll kind of notice too that the paint isn't fully covered, but that's okay. We're going to be covering it with scrapbook paper anyway. This step was mainly just to cover up any of the bright colors. So I used some scrapbook paper that I got from Michael's, and what I'm doing is I'm just going ahead and measuring all of the places that I wanted to apply the paper to. So I'm covering most of this chair, and I just took my ruler and just measured it out and then cut all of the pieces to coordinate. And now I'm going in with some Mod Podge, and you can use a matte or a satin depending on what look you're going for. With this video, I was doing primarily like old vintage style DIY, so I went with a matte Mod Podge, but if you wanted a little bit of a shine, you could use a glossy Mod Podge as well. And then go ahead and do a thin layer of Mod Podge, and then go ahead and just smooth down the edges, making sure to get those corners, and then continue on. If you wanted to seal it in, you could also do a Mod Podge layer on top of the scrapbook paper, but even with a matte Mod Podge, it does leave a little bit of a sheen, and I wanted to leave it quite matte. So I just did a layer underneath the paper, but again, personal preference, you could also do the top as well if you wanted to make sure it's extra secure. But this is just going as decor in my house, so I'm not too worried about it at this point. And then yeah, go ahead and just keep layering on the paper until you get all of the areas covered that you would like to. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys now how we're going to use all of these DIYs in my decor. So I've got this cute little white shelf that was actually my husband's Nana's, and we painted it white. And now I'm going in with some more DIYs. You'll see the letters there. I'm going in with some frames and this pretty vase, which I actually spray painted. It was a thrift store vase, and I spray painted it with some copper paint, and then I splattered it with some cream paint on top. And then our cute little chair DIY, and then our floral statue. I wanted to give you guys some ideas on how you could style these pieces in your everyday decor. I'm going for quite a vintage romantic feel here, but you could also mix these in with some more neutral designs, or if you guys like different colors, or if you guys have a different design aesthetic than I do, feel free to change up the colors or the paper or the paint, whatever you need to make it fit in with your everyday decor. And then here's our little book stack DIY, so fun. I love how everything turned out. You guys will have to let me know down in the comments below what was your favorite DIY from this video, and which one will you guys be trying out. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing and hear your thoughts on everything. I've got a lot of thrifted pieces in here that we've picked up from flea markets and garage sales, like those two pieces there, the little gold vase and the little spindle. Those are both garage sale finds. So sometimes you can find the best decor pieces, you know, thrifting. I love it. It's a nice way to get stuff that's cheap and inexpensive, but also very unique as well. So you guys will kind of see here, I'm kind of playing around with how I want everything. You'll see that a lot. I'll place something and then I'll change my mind and then I'll change it again. So when you're decorating, that's honestly the best way to do it. Don't feel like when you place something that has to stay there. You can always change your mind, move things around. I often decorate it once, think about it, come back an hour later or the next day, and then I change it up again. You know, a decorator's work is never done, so you can change things up to make it look however you want. And if you don't like something, then easily just change it around or try a different combination to see what looks the best. There's no right or wrong way to decorate, which is what I love. All right, so this is how everything is looking all together. Let me know your thoughts, guys, down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think or what your favorite DIY was. Let me know if you like this style of decor with this like vintage feminine feel, how you guys are decorating your homes for summer. I'd love to hear from you guys and get to know you a little bit more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Love you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to this channel to get all of the weekly inspiration for your DIY and decor, everything to do with heart, family, and home. I'd love to have you guys here and get to know you guys a little bit more. Thank you guys so much. I'll leave my Instagram linked below for more inspiration as well if you'd like to follow me over there. But other than that, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.